Hello, everyone, and welcome to another success story of e-GMAT. Today, we have with us Deepak Baru, who scored a beautiful 740 with a Q50 and a V40. So, thank you, Deepak. Thank you for joining in today.
Thank you, Abba. It's my pleasure.
So, Deepak, before we start, why don't you introduce yourself and help us a little bit more insights about your professional life and how did you decide that you need to get started with the GMAT journey?
Yes, I'm Deepak Baru. I'm actually a first generation engineer. I started my journey with Jindal Steel and Power Limited as an engineer, and later transitioned into a public sector enterprise under Government of India, thinking that I can have a greater impact on the society through working through a government company. So I started working as an engineer and in more of engineering or technical roles, and later transitioned into more operational and managerial roles. And I presently have around 12 years of experience now. I'm presently helping a public to private uh, airport operator transition under PPP partnership, public-private partnership. I'm heading the joint venture monitoring unit at an airport where this transitioning is going on. So, thinking to go ahead with this, planning to take this ahead at a global scale, I decided to pursue an MBA because our organization, the Airports Authority of India, used to enjoy a monopoly. We used to manage 137 airports across the India.
Yeah.
But what happened is after 2020, the intent of government was very clear to privatize all the profit-making airports and even the tier 2 and tier 3 airports. So this actually threatened the monopoly of our organization and even our career prospects, because we have an option to go into a private operator or work in a tier 4 or tier 5 cities, and the career progression would slow down. So I actually was thinking of MBA since long, but due to some personal reasons, I couldn't go ahead with that decision. So I thought this is the right moment to pursue an MBA and to be relevant and competitive in this dynamic environment where things are changing so rapidly. So I thought I have many transferable skills that I developed through this journey, and with MBA that could help me reach my post MBA goal, the immediate goal. And even the COVID-19 pandemic helped me align my goals, take a step back and check my goals and what I'm doing, what I've achieved till now. And so I am.
So you started your GMAT journey.
Yes,
right?
yes. I started my GMAT journey in August 2021. So at that time, yeah.
So Deepak, when you decided that you wanted to start the GMAT, right? How did you go about approaching and how did you narrow down to the e-GMAT course? Like before e-GMAT, did you take an attempt?
No. Actually, I use GMAT Club as one of the major resource and for identifying the courses. So I narrowed. I was pretty sure about my quant skills. So for verbal, I narrowed down to 3 courses, test prep companies. I was pretty sure that the online mode is better than the books. So I went ahead with the trials of all the test prep companies that I narrowed. So it is similar to the application process. You find a fit with the B school. So I was searching for a fit with my work style and learning style routine. So after that allowed me to narrow down to e-GMAT. And e-GMAT actually has a lot of free knowledge sharing sessions on YouTube, and they even conduct many free sessions. So I attended some of the sessions. One of the session that attracted me a lot was the session with Harsha, ER and RC. So I was very impressed with that. And one of the sessions of Shraddha, I think, for sentence correction. So I was pretty sure, and I read a lot of articles of Shraddha on on GMAT Club, the free articles. I never came across so much of knowledge sharing from a test prep company on a public platform or a YouTube or for GMAT Club. So that itself provided a depth of instructors, the subject matter experts that the company had. So I thought this is the proper fit. After the trial, I corroborated my finding and I went ahead with e-GMAT. I had a strategy call with one of your strategy experts at that time.
Hmm.
So he suggested that you can easily do it in the 2000 fall 24
Yeah.
because you're
Yeah.
starting in August. So, but I
Hmm.
said that no, I am focused on fall 2023 and I'll
Yeah.
take my sweet 2 years and I'll
Yes.
plan accordingly. So yes,
Yes.
at that time I started with the e-GMAT course for
e-GMAT.
the 6 months, 6 months
Okay.
course.
Okay. So, Deepak, you have actually completed the entire course per se,
Yes,
right? The
yes,
verbal, the quants, the mocks part, right? So,
correct.
what was your structure of how did you go about doing the course?
Yes, I actually pretty much followed the e-GMAT structure.
Hmm.
You can create a custom study plan there.
Hmm.
So after taking a mock, initial mock, I took an initial mock of e-GMAT Sigma X mock. So
Yeah.
after based on that score, the module suggests that you can do this, 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 and you'll take this much time.
Hmm.
So accordingly, I started. I was pretty sure that for verbal, I need to start with SC, CR, and RC because RC you need critical reasoning skills and sentence correction skills also because it is an extension of that. You need to
Yes.
have that extract the meaning, extract the logic, and that you can apply on RC. So for
Hmm.
verbal, I started with this. I started with my weakness. Uh, I thought that this verbal is my weakness, and I started with verbal. And
Hmm.
later, I went ahead with quant.
Okay.
So yeah, I first dedicated a month to sentence correction, a month to CR, and maybe 15 days to RC.
Hmm. Hmm. So when you say that you started with verbal, right? So because you were starting from the very
Hmm.
scratch, you have not done GMAT
Hmm.
preparations before, right? So what
Correct,
were
correct.
so this is the first technique that you learned, right,
Hmm.
on the e-GMAT platform. So what
Correct.
helped you actually solidify your foundation further? What were the techniques that helped you get to that 740, because you were struggling to a certain extent with the 690 plateau also, right? So let's
Yes.
break it down like subsection by subsection, because verbal was something that was weakened for you, right? A
Correct.
weakness. So let's start with SE. So how did you go about doing the SE course, and did you move to the cementing immediately after the SE course?
No, no. Actually, before even moving to SE course, I did the master comprehension
Okay.
because we Indians actually, I feel that we are very good at quant for some reason because we have a
Hmm.
structured approach
Hmm.
even in our childhood for
Yeah.
doing maths. But for doing English verbal, most of us we actually don't know how to read a sentence, how to extract a meaning, where to pause, where to give more importance, and all. So
Hmm.
the master comprehension course actually solidified that learning for me. I was
Yeah.
now pretty sure how to read a sentence, how to
Hmm.
break a structure, how to extract a meaning, and
Hmm.
where to pause.
Hmm.
So this was a basic foundation that what I felt.
Okay.
Based on this foundation, I started with sentence correction.
Hmm.
For sentence correction, I after completing the module, I used to complete the quizzes, and wherever I used to lack, I used to redo the concept and reattempt the quizzes. I used to make notes, and
Hmm.
after that, I went ahead with cementing.
Okay.
Whenever I was having some doubt, I used to write to support.
Yeah.
Support. I use the support function very absolutely very well. I used
Hmm.
to write to support, and I used to ask that I completed the SE course now. What is the next step?
Hmm.
So they used to tell that you need to do cementing quiz, you need to do medium cementing, you need to do hard cementing, you need to hit this metrics. So I
Yes.
used to proceed with that. Initially, I struggled hitting the metrics, so I used to write back. I did
Hmm.
not hit the 70% metric for the medium quiz. What should I do now? They used
Hmm.
to suggest that you solve this OG quiz, this one. So I used to follow the approach that the support used to provide me. It
Hmm.
was not mentoring as such, but I used to take the
Yes.
guidance and I used to proceed. The best part that test prep actually gives is it provides a structure to your preparation. So
Hmm.
that is very much essential. I was very hindsight. I realized that I was diligent because there was a structure in the built in the course. So
Yeah.
that was the reason I used to dedicate maybe 2 to 3 hours per day and
Hmm.
5 to 6 hours in the weekends
Yes.
dedicated to the course because
Hmm.
has an inbuilt structure. You first
Yes.
solidify your concept,
Yes.
you implement the learnings
Hmm.
on a cementing quiz. If you're
Yes.
faltering, then you do it untimed or
Yeah.
or in a relaxed time
Hmm.
manner. You do
Yes.
strategic revision.
Hmm.
That is a very critical part of preparation. I
Hmm.
learned it hard way after my second or third attempt.
Hmm.
I should have done the revision part thoroughly. That would have
Yeah.
helped me save 2 to 3 attempts easily. So
Hmm.
the strategic revision that we do, even for the questions that we get it wrong, we need to check
Yeah.
whether we got it for a right reason, or else maybe I was lucky.
Yes. Yes.
That part, and even the course also has inbuilt metrics to show that were you lucky, or did you spend a
Mhm.
lot of time.
Yes.
That was also helpful. I used to take cues from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
The recommended time was also being displayed. The difficulty level was also being displayed. So I used to check whether I was walking into the traps. I used to
Hmm.
read the forums inbuilt in the uh, quiz of e-GMAT,
Yes. Hmm.
and the expert analysis there. I used
Yes.
to go into their mind and think, see how they are solving the approaching the question.
Yeah.
So I used to make notes of that.
Yes. So Deepak, I think you've really put it out really well, because at the end it's about learning from your mistakes, right?
Correct.
I think for you also, the first few attempts which did not go well on the official exam
Hmm.
also made you take the correct path later on,
Correct.
right? And you
Correct.
found that structure, that these reviewing, understanding, that it's not just about accuracy, it's also
Hmm.
about the questions that you might get correct but not using the right method, right?
Correct.
And that luck factor might not play always, right? So
Correct.
when because there are other students also who might be doing the cementing stage, right?
Correct.
And
Correct.
there would be a few that would falter like you, right? So
Sure.
what was your learning, like why would someone actually falter in the medium cementing? What were the do's and the don'ts that you missed out previously?
Yeah, this is actually a very good question. I absolutely recommend that whenever you falter in cementing, if you are
Yeah.
unable to figure it out yourself, write to the support.
Hmm.
I wrote to the support, and for sentence correction, Payal Tandon replied to my queries.
Hmm.
She is an absolute best expert there for the verbal.
Yes.
And people think that maybe some support person will be replying, but it
Yes.
is not true. They are taking very good interest. And Payal Tandon used to reply to my queries, and she used
Hmm.
to guide me that do this and do that. And
Yeah.
even after that, I was not satisfied with my sentence correction performance. So I
Hmm.
wrote back to her, and she scheduled a call with Stacy Trippener for
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Hmm.
And I was really surprised that this was only an online test prep, but they
Yeah.
are taking it to a private tutoring level.
Hmm.
Then I connected to Stacy. Stacy, prior to meeting, gave me some questions.
Hmm. To solve.
So,
Just
to solve,
yeah.
I solved it, and she asked me over email to record my thought process for a couple of questions.
Hmm.
So I recorded my thought process for the questions that I got wrong. Then she came on to the strategy session, and she
Hmm.
pointed out to the mistakes. She
Yeah.
said that you're doing this right, you're doing this right, but you're not narrowing down to final two options, and here you're faltering. So
Hmm.
you do this. So whenever you are faltering in cementing, it is very customized. We can't
Hmm.
actually pinpoint that you're faltering at this level. So what
Yes.
I understood from this is I was not doing a strategic revision thoroughly for
Hmm.
all the questions,
Hmm.
and actually for one question, for especially for verbal, we need to treat it as a 5 questions. We need to understand that why the other 4 options are wrong.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
started doing this.
Hmm.
Payal Tandon has actually guided me through this. She used to
Hmm.
record videos and used to send me.
Hmm.
So I used to treat one question as 5 questions, and I used to
Yes.
uh, see why the 4 other options are wrong.
Hmm.
Doing this helped me a lot in sentence correction. The reason
Hmm.
being, I used to identify the wrong answer patterns. How
Yeah.
the GMAT is writing questions to trap a student. How a
Yes.
person with the V35 is unable to reach to V40 is,
40.
this is the major difference, because that answer option seems to be very absurd. It seems
Yes.
awkward, but
Hmm.
it is not wrong.
Yeah.
So we need
Yes.
to understand that. So we need for that thing, we need to focus on the other 4 options also.
Yes.
So I need to make a note of all the patterns of wrong, incorrect answer choices. What tricks that GMAT is using to change meaning. So
Yes.
all those I used to make a note, and I used to correct that. And the major thing is, look at your skill data.
Yes.
You might think that this is your strength, but if you see the skill data after solving
Yeah.
some enough questions, you'll be surprised to see your strengths
Yes.
and weaknesses. There
Yes.
you realize in which question you're spending a lot of time. And if you're spending a lot of time on a particular question, even if you're getting it wrong, right, it means that there's a concept gap. So you need to
Yes.
fill that concept gap. You need to check why you're not doing it properly. So all these things help me a lot during cementing stage. And if
Yes.
you trust me, after so many attempts, I'm telling you, if you do cementing properly,
Yeah.
the work is done. You need to take the pain in cementing stage, because that is the phase which helps you to cement the concepts in your head, and the process that is required to the process and approach that is required for a particular question. If
Yes.
that is cemented in your brain, the next thing, it becomes intuitive.
True.
While we drive a vehicle, initially
Yeah.
we are very particular that should I put a first gear, should I put a second gear now. After
Yes.
a while, it becomes intuitive. You're not worried
Yes.
about the speed and the gears. It happens automatically. The
Yes.
cementing process allows that transition
Yeah.
from a mock to a concept stage.
Yeah.
So that is very important. So
Yeah.
don't take cementing lightly. Follow the
Mm.
approach that e-GMAT is telling you. That will help you a lot. And do
Yes.
thorough strategic revision and maintain a comprehensive error log. This
Mm.
will show you your strengths and weaknesses, and you can work on weaknesses at this stage, because at later
Mm.
stage it will become very difficult to work on the weaknesses, because you need to
Yes.
revisit the course and take the entire pain and see.
Do it
So
all over again.
yes,
Right.
but this acts like a checkpoint. If you're not hitting
Yeah.
the metrics, there is something missing. So you
Yes.
need to check that.
Yeah.
So I recommend, absolutely recommend to do the cementing properly for
Yeah.
all the modules: SC, CR, RC, Quant.
Yes, for all. Yeah. So Deepak, you actually, you struggled with a few, then you actually started meeting the matrices also, right? Now,
Correct,
one interesting thing that you just mentioned is error logs, right?
correct,
And error logs play a very crucial role, not just from the point of view, drafting things, but also from the point of view of revision. Once you're
correct,
in the end few days, you just want to go through the error log, right? So what
correct.
was your error log like, and what all did you draft particularly in an error log?
Yeah, the error log, although it shows a weaknesses, the error
Hmm.
log of e-GMAT, that what I felt was, it even cements the approach, because for sentence correction, it asks whether you did a sentence structure, whether you understood the meaning, whether you were you able to identify the errors. There are some steps that are required when you fill an error log. How much
Yes.
time did you take? So indirectly, the error log is forcing you to follow an approach, that
Hmm.
the approach that e-GMAT is recommending. So whenever
Yeah.
you see a red marking in your error log, you are pretty sure that you're not first looking for a meaning, or
Yes.
maybe you have not identified the structure, and this is the reason you're faltering to find an error, or getting it wrong.
Hmm.
So the approach part is taken care with the error log.
Hmm.
And next, I used to write my thought process there. In
Hmm.
the remarks column, I used to write my thought process, what I thought, why I thought that the wrong option was correct,
Yeah.
and actually why it is not. And
Hmm.
there was right answer, right choice looking at me, but I couldn't identify it. why
Identify.
why did I
Yes.
falter
There.
identifying the
Yeah.
right choice when it
Hmm.
was right in front of me? What mask that choice? So that
Hmm.
part I was making a note of, and through that, actually, I used to improve uh, the hitting the
The
cementing.
process and the gaps, right? Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
that actually
So
cemented the process more, the
yes.
approach that
Yes.
I need to take.
Yes. So Deepak, once you were done with the course, right? You did the verbal part, the respective cementing, right?
Hmm.
Your quants, which was already strong, but still you did the course, the cementing part you did, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
now you are at a stage where you're done with the course and you take a mock and you go for the exam, right? So
correct.
let's talk about the attempts now, because
Yes,
that is something that was a game changer for your previous attempts and the attempt that you took right now, right?
correct.
So what were the attempts that you took previously? When did you take it? And what was something that was, not working out for you back then?
Yeah. In spite of doing all this, all the steps that I was telling you, even I repeated the same for the quant also. And the pace was introduced at that time only, and it helped me a lot to
Yeah.
complete the quant module faster.
Hmm.
Uh, I even wrote that time to the support that I've completed the module now. What should I do now? So
Yes.
at that time, DJ recommended me some verbal readiness and test quant readiness quizzes.
Hmm.
So after doing that, I was somehow not convinced of my ability.
Hmm.
I was nearing. I already booked my exam date. It was
Hmm.
on February 2nd,
Okay.
2022.
Hmm.
So I was now in January. I completed the entire module. I
Hmm.
was taking the quizzes, verbal test readiness quizzes, but I was not confident. So at that time, I wrote to the support that I'm not feeling confident. There is something missing that I couldn't analyze with
Yeah.
my attempt. So can you enroll me to the LMP?
Hmm.
So I received a response that now it is very late, and
Yeah.
uh,
At that point, yes.
at that point we can't uh, do that. So but still
Hmm.
they gave me some guidance and all. But I went ahead and gave my first sigma x marks. I maybe I got a 660 there.
Hmm.
So I was not satisfied. My quant was okay, it was Q50, but for the
Hmm.
verbal I was very disappointed. I thought that
So this mark, you are saying that when you're done with the course, right? The
yes,
second
after
Sigma X mark that you
the
took
second
after
sigma
the
x mark, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I was not satisfied. I prepared again. I revised the concepts again, and after 3 days, this was maybe a 10 days before my attempt.
Hmm.
So I again gave a sigma x marks, and I again scored a 660
Hmm.
with same Q50 and V 29 or 30.
Yeah.
So I wrote to the support that I'm not satisfied with my attempt, and for some reason I'm not able to perform in the first two blocks. I You have a ESR
Yes.
inbuilt with the sigma x marks. So I analyzed and
Hmm.
I saw that the second and third and fourth the accuracies were high, but
Yeah.
first two blocks the accuracies were very low.
Hmm.
And by the time I was improving in third or fourth block, the level ability level
Dropped.
reduced dropped
Yeah, because the first two
drastically.
blocks actually, yeah, help the
Yes,
question
and I
paper
was
to decide.
unable to
Yes.
increase that to next level.
Hmm.
So I wrote to support, and the day before my Feb 2nd exam, I get a response from support that you are not at the right level. You need to postpone your exam for at least
Hmm.
1 month.
Yeah.
This was the exact word that they sent. But
Hmm.
I was not ready to postpone because I thought that I prepared almost for 6 months,
You
and
thought you were ready. Like this might
yes,
just
I
work out.
completed the entire course. I completed the cementing. I was hitting all the metrics, but
Hmm.
maybe something was missing. But I thought, no, I'll somehow manage because this is Sigma X marks. This is not an official mark. Maybe in
Yes.
official mark I'll perform.
Hmm.
So I went ahead. I disregarded that advice. I thought anyhow I booked. Even if I cancel, I lose the entire amount.
Hmm.
So I'll
Just
go
go
ahead
for the
and
test.
yeah.
Yeah.
So surprisingly on the test also I received a 660 with the same breakup.
Hmm.
The first attempt I scored a 660. So I was not disappointed because I was expecting that. I
Yeah.
knew at that time that something was missing that
Yes.
needs to be addressed, but I was not sure. So I
Hmm.
came back and I wrote to the support. They
Hmm.
said that you need not worry, we will guide you through the next process. But at that time I was not sure how could e-GMAT guide me again, because
Hmm.
I completed the entire course and I know everything that is
Yes. You
already
believe
very.
that you've done the course, so what extra could they add?
Yes.
Yes.
So the same thing I told them, and I did not go ahead with GMAT,
Hmm.
e-GMAT at that time.
Hmm.
So I went through GMAT club, read many debriefs, and I thought uh, I was trying to self-analyze what went
Yeah.
wrong.
Hmm.
So I could find out some of the errors that I did in my
Hmm.
first attempt. So I started implementing some of the learnings in the before my second attempt. I took
Yeah.
around 3 months before my second attempt, and I purchased OG Advanced.
Okay.
OG Advanced, and I this time focused only on official questions. So I
Hmm.
thought the mistake that I did in first attempt was, and still I feel that I did not focus more on official questions. I was
Okay.
entirely relying on test prep company questions, but I
Hmm.
did not get a flavor of what official questions are.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this time I focused on OG Advanced,
Hmm.
and that was a game changer for verbal.
Hmm.
I I used to implement the concepts that I learned in e-GMAT on OG verbal questions.
Okay, so the process
And
that you learned in e-GMAT, you were trying to replicate that on the OG questions.
OG advanced questions. Advanced
OG
questions are very
advanced,
hard
right?
questions. So
Yes,
I used
yes.
to see that in practice sessions. I used to even solve hard level questions
Hmm.
correctly. Maybe
Hmm.
the metrics are more than 70 to 80%. When the OG advanced questions are really tough questions.
Yeah.
So I thought that the same concepts I'm implementing it here with
Yeah.
the strategy. So I went ahead and I completed the OG advanced and some thing else on GMAT Club. So I
Hmm.
went ahead and I
Book the
uh,
exam again.
booked the exam and gave the exam in May, I guess.
Hmm.
But this time the verbal improved
Hmm.
to V38. But
Hmm.
as I was telling you, I put excessive pressure on my quant.
Yeah.
After my first attempt, I took my ESR
Hmm.
to analyze what was going wrong. To my
Yeah.
surprise, I saw that I got only three questions wrong in quant
Hmm.
and still got a Q50. If I get at least two or one question wrong, still I can manage a Q51. So
Hmm.
I thought that I'm already at a level of Q51. So I thought that the first attempt, the order, even I changed the order also. First attempt, my thought process was I'll tackle my first weakest section first,
Verbal first, that means.
verbal first, and
Hmm.
then go to quant and so on.
Yeah.
So what happened is uh, after that I realized that my brain doesn't start immediately working
Hmm.
when I go directly to the test center.
Yeah.
So at that time attempting a weaker section would
Backfire, maybe.
backfire still. So
Yeah.
I changed the order. I used quant first, next verbal,
Hmm.
and IR and AWA. So
Yeah.
this approach I tried on official mocks,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
used to score on average 730 on
Hmm.
official
Nice.
mocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to score V38,
Hmm.
V37, V38. It was verbal was in that range. So I
Yeah.
was very confident that this is working. The section order also I have changed,
Yes.
and I went ahead. But on the actual exam, due to some reason I still don't know, my brain did not start functioning even
Hmm.
for quant.
Yeah.
uh, was it due to anxiety, or maybe it was due to the excessive pressure that I was putting on quant?
Yes. Yes.
After maybe 15 questions, I got a very weird question in quant, and I was not letting it go.
Hmm.
I was spending excessive amount of time on that question because I knew that I need to score a Q51 and I can't let this go
Yeah.
because this will change my
The score, the final score, it can
yes.
impact. Yeah.
So I'm not sure how much time I spent on that question, but I'm pretty sure that I would have got it wrong. But I wasted a valuable amount of time on that question, and that backfired a lot.
Hmm.
And at some point of time, I was seeing that I was solving questions in 20 or 30 seconds. Then
Hmm.
suddenly I realized that why is this happening? I'm solving questions in 20 or 30 seconds. Then I
Yeah.
realized that I'm already at 29th question.
Yes.
I'm able to solve questions in 20 or 30 seconds, the quant.
Hmm.
So I realized that this is not at my level.
Yeah. Hmm.
Because I screwed up in some questions which were also not at my level, which were
The
at higher
difficulty
level.
dropped for you.
Yeah, higher level. And
Yeah.
later I maybe have made some silly mistakes.
Hmm.
e-GMAT doesn't call it silly mistakes, it calls it as process errors.
Yes.
When you
Hmm.
skip some steps, you make some process errors.
Hmm.
You will forget to consider the constraints in a question. You
Yeah.
forget to manipulate it properly. You forget it to properly simplify. You may even 2 into 3. Maybe you will put it as 5.
Yeah.
Many things happen when the
Yes.
pressure comes in. So
Yes.
I understood that something very bad happened, and
Hmm.
that's the reason I was able. I'm able to see this level of questions because those level questions I never solved.
Yeah. They were
Uh,
very
uh,
easy for you
yes, yes.
because,
I was just
something
seeing the
went
question and
wrong.
I was marking. I was not even using the scratch pad.
Hmm.
So I still left that and went ahead with verbal.
Yeah.
In the first attempt, I analyzed that my RC was very weak.
Hmm.
RC was the percentile was very low. So in the second attempt, I focused majorly on RC.
Yeah.
So verbal went pretty good. Except that last three questions I couldn't solve, but I marked
Yes.
it randomly. So when I saw the score, it was 690.
Hmm.
V48 and V48 or 47 and
Q for
V30,
yeah.
Q48 and V38.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and the score was 690.
Yeah.
I saw V38 and still the score was 690. I used to
Yes.
see the same score in my mocks with
Yeah.
V38. I used not see the quant score. I used to see verbal and the final
Yes.
score. I saw
Yes.
V38 and it was 690. Then I was shocked and I saw the quant dropped.
Hmm.
So I was very disappointed. I came back and I couldn't understand how I scored a Q48. Then
Hmm.
I went back immediately and I solved a GMAT Club quant uh, test. It
Yeah.
is said that it is the toughest. So
Hmm.
I solved a GMAT Club quant test and I scored a Q50 there.
Hmm.
So I was surprised. I could do a Q50 here, but I messed up in the actual exam.
Yes.
So I kept thinking of the errors that then
Might
I
have
realized that
committed. Yeah.
yes, then I realized that I was keeping my approach was not proper. I should have left some questions which
Hmm.
are way ahead of my level so that
Hmm.
at least I could maintain a Q50.
Yeah.
So at this point I realized that I need help.
Hmm.
I can't do it all alone. Even if
Yeah.
I have the concept and everything, I thought that I should have a helping hand, a person, a strategy expert who could
Hmm.
guide me through.
Yeah.
So I again looked into your competitors and all, and I was not convinced somehow
Hmm.
uh, to change my approach entirely.
Yeah. Hmm.
What actually with the comfort with e-GMAT is I have an intuitive process that is going, and
Yes.
e-GMAT's process is similar.
Yeah.
From childhood I'm against shortcuts and all. I
Hmm.
go through the long
Detail.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
I see the logic and I'll solve it through the logic. If you
Hmm.
say that this is a shortcut and this is shortcut, and if you do this, you'll get the option. I'm not convinced, and I'm not pretty sure about that approach.
Yes.
So this approach looked logical to me.
Hmm.
It is time taking, it is hard, but it
Hmm.
works.
Yeah.
So and it is intuitive to me. So I went ahead with I sent a mail to Rajat that
Yeah.
I'm not satisfied with my attempt and I need help.
Hmm.
So still I was not sure that e-GMAT would help me. But the
Hmm.
real game changer was I received a mail from you
Yeah.
with the video analysis.
Hmm.
That video actually I blown my mind. I was I was surprised. I was shocked that some person took a lot of interest and she analyzed my entire account. In that video, you actually went through my entire account. You
Yeah.
analyzed my weaknesses, my strengths, what I can do, what is the plan ahead if you continue with e-GMAT.
Hmm.
How can you help? The entire
Yes.
plan, walking through my account,
Yes.
the metrics, seeing the metrics and all.
Yeah.
Uh, I felt that it was very personalized. That approach I felt was very personalized. So I immediately went ahead
Yeah.
and realized that this is the thing that I need to do.
Yes.
So I went ahead with e-GMAT for the third attempt again.
Yes, yes. So I think this time because you were already at a 690 and
Hmm.
from your account also we could see that it's
Yes,
not someone who is not putting in the efforts, right? You were showing
yes,
all the characteristics that tick mark for the last mile push. You have a good score 690, but somehow there is something going wrong which you're not able to get to your target score, right? That
yes,
730, 740 mark. So
yes,
I remember, recording that video because of the whole idea that here's a student who has written to us saying that, I'm stuck, right? You
yes,
are at 660, 690. I've done everything. I really don't know. So that's what made me get into your account to understand what is exactly going wrong, right? And
correct,
I think we discovered that also a few things and we started working on them on the last mile push program, right?
correct.
So let's understand on what happened from the second, the LMP and the next attempt, right? So you are the best person to tell this. Like what happened in the last mile push program that, gave you a thought process that, okay, I can go for and book for an exam again.
Yes. Actually, after subscribing to e-GMAT again, the I was very that I need to take the entire course again. How could I do? So at this time, the LMP program provided me a structure. It is actually very personalized to a particular person. So the mentor will go look at the skill data and personalize the next steps to be taken uh,
Yeah.
to achieve the target score. So my base score is fixed, my target score is fixed, and the required days are fixed, and a detailed plan is laid out as to where should I start. So first I started with my revision of all the modules, and even that was very customized. It was not like I need to do the entire course again. So it was very customized. I did that, and later I did the cementing part again for the verbal.
Yeah.
And there, whenever I was failing to hit metrics, this time I was doing a thorough strategic review. One,
Yes.
and second, I was writing back to you that
Yeah.
Abba, see, I'm not able to hit my metric in this part.
Yes.
I completed medium, but I'm failing in hard. Then you used to send me some videos of subject matter experts
Yes.
of Payal or of Harsha,
Yes.
some sessions, the recorded sessions where they walk through the approach.
Yeah.
So those actually really helped me to correct my approach, to correct my thought process. I absolutely love this person, Harsha, because he has a very good way of explaining the complex things in a simple manner. So even in CR course also, whenever I see a question, even if I get it right, if I see that it has a video explanation with Harsha, I used to go ahead and listen to him. So I love listening to Harsha. I love listening to Shraddha, and I love listening to Shweta in quant.
Yes.
So doing this, I used to see how they are approaching a particular question. How are they thinking?
Yeah.
So especially for sentence for critical reasoning,
Yeah.
this time I entirely did not go the e-GMAT way, doing the pre-thinking and finding the assumption and all. But I followed a similar approach. I used to do a pre-thinking.
Yeah.
I used to focus more on the statement. I used to see whether there is a logical gap. Where is the logical gap? If it's talking about one entity and suddenly concluding about second entity, what is the jump there? If he's talking about a general scenario and concluding a specific scenario in a conclusion, if he's talking about numbers and talking about proportions in conclusion, this
Yeah.
differences and these gaps, I was able to identify this patterns. So the same thing I used to make a note, even in SC and CR also. So and I used to implement again in hard level questions in
Okay.
OG cementing.
Okay.
So whenever the metrics were satisfactory, I used to write back again that
Yeah.
I've hit the metrics and I'm
Moving forward.
moving forward.
Yes. Yes.
So it was
So
completely guided approach.
yeah. So Deepak, when because you did the last mile push program with me, right? So we did the last mile push program, and I remember you taking the mock also before the exam, and it was a
Correct.
very well done mock, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I think you hit a 760, 770,
Yes, I
right?
hit a
Yes.
770 there. Yeah.
And I remember the message it said that I hope I'm able to replicate this on the actual test, right?
Correct. Correct.
And we were sure that you should be able to do it because you were hitting all the matrices. We had covered all the gaps for you, right?
Correct.
But then you go on the day. So what happens in your third attempt? What happened there?
Due to some weird reason, again the old devil returns, and I uh, the approach that I followed throughout the entire LMP program, I implemented in the final Sigma X mocks.
Yeah.
The same thing, I that was an extension to all the thing that was doing in LMP, the cementing, the ability quizzes, and the test readiness quizzes. It was an extension.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I implemented the same thing, and it worked well there. But later, I thought that I did the same thing, but it didn't work out in the actual exam. But later on, when I started analyzing what I did on the exam day, then I realized that I did not actually follow the approach that I was very used to and
Okay.
very confident.
Okay.
That worked for me.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I changed gears. Suddenly, I used to, when the clock is ticking ahead, you need to trust the process. Maybe you're not able to solve this question, means it is your weakness. You need to accept and move ahead. Or else,
Yeah.
uh, you need to, but still you need to stick with the approach. It is not like
Yes.
if you are unable to solve with that approach, you suddenly shift gears and bring a second approach that you hear here and there in forms. You, for
Hmm.
example, in sentence correction, more than the meaning based approach, following the sentence structure helped me a
Hmm.
lot, because following the sentence structure and analyzing the sentence structure is the first step to first understand the meaning. If
Yes.
you do
To
that
break it down.
properly, yeah,
Yes.
if you do that properly, the intended meaning is very clear and your errors
Hmm.
are very visible to you.
Hmm.
But if the clock is ticking and you don't follow this approach, suddenly you see the first and last words and looking for splits, then you will
Yeah.
enter a trap, and
Hmm.
that cycle continues. So this somehow I consistently did not execute the strategy that I developed in my mock and preparation stage. That was a
Hmm.
major mistake that I did in my third attempt.
Yeah.
Second mistake that I realized was I highly recommend that we need to test our strategy on official questions.
Hmm.
The test prep questions are very good, especially
Yeah.
easy questions, but for your strategy to not fail on the D-Day,
OG questions. Yeah.
you need to practice on OG questions or official questions, the same strategy
Hmm.
thoroughly, and see where you're going.
Yeah.
Because the flavor of OG questions is very different to that available on the market. Because the
Hmm.
test prep, generally the test prep companies, they see the retired questions and the entire course is based on that. But
Hmm.
the questions that you see on actual exam are not yet released, so they are
Yeah.
completely new questions. But the
Hmm.
logic of solving and logic of approaching the question remains the same. The
Yes.
concept part doesn't remain the same.
Yeah.
For example, I remember in my third attempt, there is widely held concept in sentence correction that whenever you see like, it cannot be used for examples. But I
Hmm.
saw an official question on actual GMAT that had a like on first option. I was
Yeah.
using splits, so I saw like, I eliminated that, and to my surprise, all the option choices had like, and they
Hmm.
were giving examples there. So
Yes.
then I realized that I'm doing something wrong.
Hmm.
This I recollected later. So the major problem was I was not seeing verbal as a verbal actually is a game of process of elimination rather than
Hmm.
process of selection.
Hmm.
As the question moves, difficulty moves higher,
Yeah.
the test makers are very smart enough to
Yes.
conceal the right answers just in front of you.
Yeah.
So you need to eliminate the other four options for obvious reasons.
Yes. You
And
need to
even
find the reasoning why you are not selecting this
correct,
one rather than
correct,
just going ahead and selecting the option that you
correct.
feel. Yes.
This I was doing in my preparation stage, but
Yeah.
somehow in the actual exam, I was not replicating the entire thing, because
Hmm.
when you move ahead of V35, V38, and V40 level, the
Yes.
correct option with the time constraint, you have only 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes to solve. In that
Yes.
time, you will not be 100% confident of that option.
Hmm.
But after in your practice time, you have sufficient time so you can analyze the options.
Yes.
So the process of elimination approach for verbal helped me a lot. I used to eliminate four options choices for obvious reasons.
Hmm.
Then if I don't have anything bad on the option choice, even if it sounds awkward, even if it doesn't, the logic doesn't seem proper, doesn't make sense, not proper, if it doesn't make sense, I used to go ahead with that option.
Hmm.
This actually helped me in my later attempt.
Okay. Okay. So, Deepak, when you wrote to us after your third attempt, right, you again landed up with the 690 this time,
Correct,
right? And the game changer for you was that after that 690, you self analyzed your performance, right?
correct,
Rather
correct,
than immediately jumping on to a next one, right? And
correct.
I think this is a thing many people miss because they are in so much hurry of, meeting the
Hmm.
deadlines. There's so much pressure. They actually miss the important factor of self analyzing and understanding what is actually happening, right?
Correct,
Like very rightly said by you that while doing the course, while doing the questions on the platform, even on the OG questions, right, even on the mock on the platform, you were doing the process and it was yielding you the results, right?
correct,
For meaning based approach, you were going for the sentence structure, you were breaking it down, you're following the structure, right?
correct.
But during the exam, because of the clock ticking, you just missed the process, and that was the entire game changer for you, right?
Correct.
This was the only thing that was actually, always making you struggle and just get, settling for something that you really did not deserve.
Correct.
You deserved much beyond that, right? So
Yes.
yes, so you wrote to us, and at that point you said, okay, 690 something that I might be settling in for, right?
Correct.
So what was your journey after this third attempt? Because the next time it is 740, it is a V40. That's the highest that you've got on your verbal, right? And I'm
Correct.
sure that was a thrilling moment for you, right? So
Correct.
what was that time span and what happened? What changed, and got you to that 740 now?
Yes, after the 690, I was not sure how uh, different that I could do to improve my score, because I
Yes.
gave everything that I had in the third attempt.
Hmm.
So although I was not disappointed, I accepted the score. I was sure
Yes.
that it doesn't reflect my potential, but I thought that the B school application process is a holistic process.
Yeah.
So I can show my potential through different ways, maybe
Hmm.
through my essay, through my resume, through my interview, through my work.
Yes.
So I went ahead with round one application process. As you know, the application process itself takes a lot of time. It is tougher than the GMAT. I
Hmm.
can say it is very different. So that's the reason it seems to be tougher. So
Yeah.
I, relying on my profile, I thought my profile is strong enough. So
Yeah.
even with 690, I can uh, make a convert. So I went
Yes.
ahead with round one,
Hmm.
and I luckily I could convert a B school call. I
Yes.
got an admit from top US 30 B school
Hmm.
with substantial scholarship.
Yeah.
So that really actually gave a boost to my morale. That my
Hmm.
profile is strong enough to get into a
Yes.
top
To
school,
be that
even
edge.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, even with a 690.
Hmm.
But still, at the back of my mind, I had like this 690 doesn't reflect my true potential. I can,
Yes.
if my profile is so strong that I could get into this school with 690, if I had a 710, 720, I could aim for a better school with a better scholarship, was my thought process. So
Yeah.
at this time, it was already maybe 5 months. I left GMAT completely. I was completely focused on my applications, my interviews. So I decided that I need to give GMAT again. And I
Yeah.
shared the same news with my wife.
Hmm.
She was shocked, and she said that no, you can't do that. You already have an admit. You need not do this. It is okay
Hmm.
if it is not a top B school. It is not, even if it is not your dream B school. It is a very good school. You need not take all the, because she was afraid. She knew that how diligent I was and how
Yes.
dedicated I was. As I
And
shared,
you would
I
have to go through the entire process. That's
entire
what
process.
she feared. Yeah.
She was shocked that I need to take the entire pain again.
Yeah.
She saw the pain. I used to spend at least 25 to 30 hours a week on GMAT,
Yes.
and still
Yeah.
manage playing with kids, spend time with her, and do work. So I used to manage all this. I used to wake up at 5 o'clock, or I
Hmm.
used to stretch my day. So she said that no, you need not take the pain again. I'm unable to imagine the pain
Yeah.
that you need to take again. But I convinced her, and my thought process was, I have nothing to lose now. I have an
Yeah.
admit now. Even if I don't improve my score, I can cancel my exam and I lose only 20,000.
Hmm.
And that is the only downside I have. I already have an admit. But if in case I improve my score to even 710 or 720,
Hmm.
it opens more doors to me, because
Yes.
the Indian applicant pool is very competitive, and GMAT for that reason becomes very important, to
Hmm.
get an admit, and more importantly to get a scholarship.
Yeah.
So I thought it will open a new pool of B schools to me. So I decided that the upside is very high, the
Yes.
downside is very low, and I went ahead
Hmm.
and went ahead with the decision that I'll take the GMAT again.
Hmm.
At this time, I did not again write to e-GMAT. For the reason is, I was
Yeah.
pretty sure about my concepts.
Yes.
I was pretty sure that I have a very solid concept. Very the concepts are very well cemented in my
Hmm.
brain. The approach
Yeah.
is also very well cemented. So to
Yes.
test the thesis, I took a official GMAT
Hmm.
cold. I
Yeah.
took a cold mock attempt on the same day that I received an admit.
Okay.
So
Yes.
yeah, so without any preparation.
Hmm.
So on that day, when I took them up, I scored a 720. So even I was surprised that for 5 to 6 months I was not preparing for GMAT. I did not solve a single GMAT question, or it didn't even revise
Read
anything,
anything or revise. Yes.
revise even my error log. But I could score a 720. But
Hmm.
since official, that was a paid official mock.
Yeah.
Since actual mocks, actual exam is a bit tougher, and official questions, maybe I would have I saw in on GMAT club, maybe that inflated my score. So I
Hmm.
discounted the score by 20, and I thought 700 is my present level.
Yeah.
Now, even if I improve to 710 or 720, it is more
Hmm.
than sufficient.
Yeah.
So I thought of not going to the entire process again and doing all concepts and again. What I did is I implemented the last 15 days part of our last mile program, the
Yeah.
verbal and the test readiness phase and mock phase.
Hmm.
I took that part and I implemented again the
Hmm.
same exact structure. I followed the last 15 days, because even though I did not get result that time, I was
Hmm.
pretty sure that the approach was proper.
Yeah.
The only thing is, I enjoyed the approach. The thing is, I did not get a result, but that
Yes.
doesn't mean that I'm doing something wrong. This is
Hmm.
the mistake that most people I've observed do, because they think
Yeah.
that the course is not proper, the approach is not proper. They shift to other courses or shift to different approaches, and they try other things, and they continue to falter and hit a score plateau.
Yeah.
You need to trust a process that is working.
Yes.
You need to just figure out that why it is not working on the actual exam.
Hmm.
So for that, the test readiness is very crucial.
Hmm.
So GMAT is, as I said, is a game of decision making. It is not a
Hmm.
game of knowledge. So it is not
Yeah.
like you study for 10 hours or 12 hours a day and your score improves.
Improved
It is
drastically.
actually
Yes.
counterintuitive. Actually, if you
Hmm.
study for so long, the score will drop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was pretty sure of my decision making capabilities, and I was pretty sure of my logical thinking capabilities. So,
Hmm.
but here you need to understand your strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
So I was pretty confident about what are my strengths and what are
Hmm.
my weaknesses, because earlier I used to go through my skill data in the course.
Yes.
So I this time I completely left my weakness. I did
Hmm.
not even work on my weakness,
Hmm.
because I only relied on my strengths and I worked on my strengths. So, but
Yes.
I was aware of my weakness, so that in case I get a question in that area and it is taking time, I'm
Hmm.
aware that I
Yes.
need to leave that question and move ahead, because maybe uh, because this will jeopardize your entire test if you get
Hmm.
stuck to particular question. This learning I got. So I used to leave the question, and I used to because if you get stuck to a question, you will not even solve your questions that are at your level, are your
Yes.
strengths. Because I approached, I observed that in e-GMAT course, I used to solve a particular question in a particular time, the tag time. So
Yes.
if I
Yeah.
spend that particular time, the accuracy would shoot high. If I don't
Hmm.
spend that time, even in my strength, the
Yeah.
accuracy will drop. So
Hmm.
so that's the reason I would I tried to minimize the areas that are weaker, but
Hmm.
I was aware. So this approach I implemented on the main exam.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, and the verbal and the quant test readiness again helped me to get into the groove of GMAT, because
Yeah.
even though I got a 720, I was not feeling confident,
Hmm.
because the momentum was not there in me. So, but
Yes.
this test readiness allowed me to gain momentum. So I again decided to test it again on a paid official mock.
Hmm.
So I took official mock again,
Yeah.
and I scored a 740.
Okay.
So now I was confident that no, at least I can get a 720
On
on
the
the
exam.
actual test if I do the
Yes.
same thing.
Hmm.
So I implemented the same thing on the actual exam. Uh, uh, I was actually stuck at a very weird question in my quant attempt.
Hmm.
So I let that question go. I took 30 seconds. If I did not figure out the logic, I thought that I'll move ahead. So
Okay.
I use the concept of passes that,
Hmm.
as I discussed.
Yeah.
I will have three passes in my verbal,
Yeah.
in my quant, and six passes in my verbal.
Hmm.
So whenever I feel that the question is above my level, I will
Yeah.
utilize the pass. So that you will not have the ego of not letting the question go, because if you go into that ego loop, it will jeopardize your attempt. So I used to give the pass and go ahead. So this approach actually worked in quant and even verbal also. Verbal, this time I was very much focused on elimination. The initial
Hmm.
questions I used to identify immediately the options, but as the level increases in critical reasoning and RC especially,
Hmm.
the option choices seem to be very close. But actually, when you focus on the logic and process of elimination, you will have clear cut errors there or some distortions there. And my knowledge of identifying the uh, incorrect answer choices also helped me there. So with that knowledge and reading the prompt properly for sentence correction process, following the process, getting the sentence structure, extracting the meaning, looking for errors, and then proceeding with the options. For CR, first understanding the prompt, looking for any logical gems or any shifts in logic, or as I said, talking about numbers, and the conclusion talks about proportions, or any generalization in the conclusion, but the prompt is very specific about the situation. That changes I used to notice in my
Hmm.
pre-thinking process. I would not completely entirely pre-think the assumption, but I was very cognizant about that,
Yeah.
and I used to visualize the conclusion properly. What is
Hmm.
the scope of the argument is very essential. So
Hmm.
based on that, I used to go ahead and do the process of elimination, and even this worked for RC also. I remember the third and fourth RCs that I got on the test were very weird. That was like unlike anything that I read in entire my life, and
Practice
it was
time.
no passage that I even hardest passage that I saw were not like at that level.
Hmm.
I was, but still I was very focused. I used my approach. I used to see the sentence structure. I used to, uh, and the main change that I used for this attempt in RC was I was reading for purpose. I was
Hmm.
not focused on the details. I was reading a sentence, even if he was telling some blah blah blah. Okay, he's explaining a phenomena. This is what
Yeah.
he's doing. He's presenting advantage of that phenomena, counter examples of that phenomena. He's presenting
Hmm.
a third party view. I was very aware that whether he is presenting a third party view or is it his views. So
Yeah.
all these learnings that I got through my prep, that I implemented there, even on
On the
difficult
exam day.
passages.
Yeah.
Yes. And on option choices, I used the process of elimination. And to my surprise, that worked brilliantly. And I saw
Yeah.
V40 and 740 there. Uh,
Yes.
that was my absolute best. And
Yeah.
even my verbal percentile is more than quant when
Yeah.
I feel that quant is my strength.
Yes, yes. So, Deepak, constantly one thing that you have been saying for what worked out for your last preparation is just not falling in love with the questions and just letting few questions go, right?
Correct.
And this is something that we also recommend, right?
Correct.
So, for many people, like you believe that you understood your strengths and weaknesses very well, right?
Correct.
And you knew that this is something that you can attempt, and maybe after a time limit you should not waste time in that question as well, right?
Correct.
So what is the time? Is there a particular time frame? What worked out for you that this is the time that I spend on essay question? If not, there's no point in move forward, right? Because see, what worked out for you might be something that might work out for others also, right? So that is
Correct.
why I'm asking this, like, what is the time that you put into
Yeah.
questions?
For this, you need to look at your tact time in the course.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
for instance, my accuracy in boldface questions used to be 90%.
Hmm.
But what I observed is I used to spend 2.5 minutes there. Typically, we spend 2 minutes for CR questions,
CR
but for
questions, yes.
boldface questions, I used to spend 2.5 minutes. If
Hmm.
I used to try to squeeze it to 2 or 1.5 minutes, I would get it wrong.
Hmm.
So that awareness that the type of questions that are coming, if it is your strength, uh, spend the required amount of time. If it is your weakness, don't spend the required amount of even after 30 or 30 seconds or 1 minute, you'll realize that. So you need
Yeah.
to have a stop loss. For CR, if I see that I'm crossing 3 minutes mark, I was pretty sure that I missed something in the prompt, or
Yeah.
I'm unable to get the logic. Even if I spend the next 3 minutes, the probability is that I get this wrong. But
Hmm.
even I'll jeopardize the next entire questions that are at my level.
Yes.
So for every question, I used to have a stop loss.
Hmm.
Like for CR, I used to set it as 3 minutes.
Okay.
For SC, typically it is recommended to spend 1 minute 20 or 1 minute 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But what I observed is I used to spend 1 minute 40 seconds to get it right.
Okay.
So if it crosses 2 minutes, I observed in my patterns in my skill data, that for the questions that I get wrong, I get it wrong, but I spend more than 2 minutes. So there was no point spending more than 2 minutes. So for SE questions, if it hits the 2 minute mark, I used to mark the choice and I would move immediately ahead. The gut feeling or the most best choice that I feel, I used to mark it immediately and I would proceed ahead. But RC, I used to spend enough time on the passage. I used to spend around 7 minutes, because 7 minutes for the entire 7 to 9 minutes for the entire RC passage. What I observed is, if I don't spend enough time, at least 3 minutes on the passage to understand the passage, while saying that understanding a passage, I'm not saying about the detailed oriented. For detailed stuff, you can always come back. You need to just know that the detail is available in this part of the question, and you can read that and solve it again. But you need to understand the intent of the author, the purpose for which that author is writing that sentence, that paragraph, the passage, the linkage between that. So that tone, that should be very clear. So for that, I used to require at least 3 minutes. If I take 3 minutes, in 1 to 1.5 minutes, I used to solve the RC question, or else it used to take more. So if it is crossing 2 minutes, I used to skip the question. I used to mark the. So I was very particular at this. But for quant, I was a little bit lenient, because I observed that even for some tough questions, I used to solve it in 40 seconds or 50 seconds. But for some medium level questions, I used to solve it in 2.5 or to 3 minutes.
It used to take that extra time.
Yes. The major learning after third attempt was to focus more on medium level questions. Because if you don't get the medium level difficulty correct, you will not even see the high level questions. So what is the point in focusing on high level difficulty questions when you're not getting that those correct? So I used to focus more on medium level difficulty questions, so that even if you don't get a hard question wrong, right, if it falls to medium, you'll definitely get this right, and you'll again move back to hard level on the ability level. So that for verbal also, I used to make a chart that for 9 minutes, for 9 questions, this is the time I should see on the clock. Like for 9 questions, it is 45 to 48 minutes. It should be between that. For 18 questions, it should be like 32 to 36 minutes. So I used to make a chart, and after every 9 questions, I used to visit the chart to see whether it is in line with that chart or not. Similarly, for quant also, I used to make a chart. For every 4 questions, I used to subtract 8 minutes. Like so, first 4 questions, this is the point that I should be at. 8 questions, this is the point. So like checkpoints, even I had individual checkpoints for questions. Like I said, for CR 3 minutes,
and then maybe blockwise.
And for blockwise, because as I said, for quant, maybe one question takes 2.5 minutes, the other question takes 1.5 minutes. So overall, it should be on an average of 2 minutes. So for that, I divided it into blocks of 4. But for verbal, I divided it into blocks of 9, because we may get a RC passage also. So so in order to accommodate that, I used to divide it in for every 9 questions, I used to subtract 16 minutes. But for the most critical block for verbal is the last block. People work hard, spend more time on the first block, thinking that their ability will shoot up somehow and they will miraculously solve the rest thing. Even if you do that, the exam is so structured, so fair, that it will give you questions at that level that will anyhow bring down your difficulty level. And spending more time on the first block will backfire, because you'll not even solve the questions that are at your level correctly because of the time pressure. So I used to maintain this timing perfectly, and I used to keep at least 10 minutes for the last block, so that even if I have to rush, it is not like I just have 2 minutes and I have to solve entire 9 questions. So I used to keep at least 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes for the last block, because the last block decides the entire score thing, because if you by mistake leave, or you can if you get wrong consecutive wrongs, the GMAT will penalize you.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so at least what my belief is, till the third block, GMAT already knows your level.
Mm.
So in the fourth block, you need to maintain that level. So even if you get an alternate right or wrong,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It will maintain that level. So that's
Yes.
the reason I used to keep at least 10 minutes, so that
In
even if
hand.
a
Yeah.
medium question, difficulty question comes, I should not screw it up.
Yeah.
Hard question, even if I get 50% wrong, it doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
medium, it should be at least 80%. If you are aiming for V40, the medium accuracy must be at least 80%. Hard, even
Okay.
if it is 60%, it is fine. You are at
Yes.
40.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
So Deepak, your this session was very insightful because there was a lot of learning, and from a student's perspective, you covered a lot of things from being the skipping strategy or how you need to prepare for the exams, right? And how crucial the mindset is, because the last attempt was, I think, one of the only attempts where you just let go of the pressure and you just said, like, let's just give it a try. What
correct.
might
I
happen?
had nothing to
What
lose.
worst can happen? Yeah, you had nothing to lose there, right? And that's the exam that really clicked out for you, right? So
Yeah, you just consider it as a costly mock. If you're
yes.
seeing that your mocks are going good, and you're not doing that in the actual exam, consider that you're now giving a mock that is a costly mock in a different location.
Yes.
And try to align your mocks with the actual time also, and
Yeah.
try to figure out which works for you. So
Hmm.
for me, what I figured out was maybe around 11 o'clock is the time that my mind peaks.
Hmm.
It is at its highest level. So I scheduled it at that time, because early morning, I said, in my previous attempts, the first two blocks, my mind was not working. I felt
Working. Yeah.
somehow that it was not working. So
Hmm.
this time I used to do some warm up questions before going there. I used to read
Okay.
some passage. I would not solve RC questions, but I used
Yeah.
to do a tough RC passage, and use my process there to
Okay.
understand the preparation process that I got, that I used to just use there. I used to just read the
Yes.
prompt and try to extract the meaning, and I used to leave there, so
Hmm.
that your mind is in the tune
Right time.
for
Yeah.
taking the GMAT. So the
Yes.
timing is important. The warm up is also important
Hmm.
and believe in your strategy. You have put so much of hard work that was
Yes.
working in your practice. So implement the same thing on the actual exam.
Yes, yes. So, Deepak, I think you very beautifully wrapped up by saying that, believe in the process, but believe in your ability also. You have
Yes,
worked out so well, like throughout the process. And if all the things are right, if you are meeting all the matrices, that means you have that ability to crack it on the exam also, right?
correct,
So,
correct.
what is that one tip, like your learning, that you would like to share for the other aspirants who are, targeting a similar score like 730, 740? Are maybe in a similar storyline like yours, they're stuck at a certain phase, right? What did make you cross that barrier and just get to that score finally?
Yeah, actually, you need to be diligent in your preparation. You
Hmm.
need to be more self aware about
Yeah.
your strengths and weaknesses. You need to do a proper revision of the things that you're doing. The quality of preparation is more important than quantity. The brute force doesn't work on GMAT. As I said, GMAT is not a knowledge test. So brute
Yeah.
force will never work. So the quality, even if you are able to solve only 10 questions per day, spend a quality time on that 10 questions, and do a thorough revision of the every question.
Question. Yeah.
Yeah, for the last attempt, if I get a question wrong in my practice, I used to leave it there. I used to come
Hmm.
back the next day. I used to solve
Hmm.
it again,
Yeah.
untimed.
Hmm.
This time I used to focus on my process, and most of the questions that I got wrong, I used to get it right. So
Hmm.
that gave more confidence that your
Yes.
process is working, and you need to trust the process, and it will improve your ability to reach
Hmm.
that level. So the major thing is, don't give GMAT too much of importance. Don't make it
Yeah.
as your life, that
Yes.
nothing will happen without a great score. You need to get
True.
that concept out, because for me that worked out, because I got an admit without a stellar GMAT score. So
Yes.
I did not give a lot of weightage to that exam. So that will keep your nerves on control.
Under
So even if
control.
you get an anxiety during that D day, you use it for your advantage. that's what happened on my D-Day, because as you said, I never scored a V40, but I used my anxiety and my aggression
Yes.
and channelized it to the test.
Yes.
And I followed my process, and I was at that moment, I was not thinking about my previous question, previous attempt. I was at that moment and I followed the process that I perfected. It is
Yeah.
just your decision making there.
Yes. Yeah. So, Deepak, I think very beautifully said, because, nerves, mindset, and the ability, these two go hand in hand for you to actually get to the success, right? I think it worked out beautifully for you. And thank you for joining in and giving us such lovely insights, because I'm sure that there'll be a lot of people who will get inspired and take these insights from your story, right? What worked
Yes,
out and what not to do as well, like specifically when you mentioned about the cementing stage, right?
correct,
So
correct.
thank you, Deepak. We would really like to thank you. And we are so happy that we could be part of this journey of yours and help you to a certain extent to get to that 740. So thank you,
Thanks
Deepak.
a lot for that support.
Yes. Thank you for joining in today.
Thank you, Oba.